Today we're talking about private VPNs, and I mean private, not like, hey, go click an affiliate link and give me a commission kind of VPN. I'm talking one that you set up, you create, and you're connecting two sites, or let's say your home site, but you want to make sure all your internet traffic gets routed through a different server you set up. Now, I recommend using a VPS for this, and you can pick any VPS you like. Just set up a standardized Ubuntu server. Just Ubuntu 18 is where this video is going to start, and with it just sitting on the desktop or sitting actually at the command prompt, that's where this video begins. We're going to create the VPN server on that actual machine that's out in the interwebs. And then we're going to connect to it through a VPN on our local desktop. And with that, we're going to have a private VPN that can go back and forth. Now, I'm going to show both the connection through my Linux-based machine and also through my Windows-based machine. So you can browse somewhat securely, at least come from a different area of the internet, and not everything gets sourced from your home internet. So with all that said, let's jump in today's video. This video is brought to you by UpCloud, superior cloud hosting with 100% SLA guarantee. If you're looking for a reliable VPS, it is one of my recommendations. And if you're interested in this, click the link in the description. Okay, let's start out this video by connecting to our fresh server. Now, I set up a fresh server at vpn.christitus.com. This is just a plain Ubuntu server, no desktop, nothing like that. There's nothing on this server, and we're going to use it and set up a VPN server on it. Now, it's elsewhere on the internet. It's not in my internal network, so I just set it up through my DNS just because, well, one, it obscures the IP a little bit, and two, it's very easy to get in here and do it. So I'm going to go ahead, connect to the SSH of this. We're going to type a password and then connect. So here we go. We've connected to this server. You see it changed to the Ubuntu 18. This is just a standard server. Now, obviously, this is the first setup of it. I want to obviously do an update to it, and I'll go ahead and fast forward through this, but definitely update and upgrade your fresh server out of the gate, which I'm doing here. So we have 198 packages. So now we'll just run our upgrade. It's so vital. Anytime you set up any fresh server on the internet, you do your updates and upgrade all of it out of the gate. There's securities, updates, and all kinds of stuff that's in here. And it just depends on the VPS provider you're using. Some have really up-to-date images. Some run about a month or two behind. So I'd say by the amount of updates here, it's probably a couple weeks behind the VPS I'm on here. So this is a fresh VPS, but every time you ever set up a fresh server, you need to run these commands. All right, so now we're finished with the upgrade and update of the server. We just reboot, and we'll go ahead and let that go. It usually takes a couple of, maybe probably 30 seconds on a VPS to reboot, and we'll be able to get started with the actual setup process. All right, we're gonna go ahead and reconnect, and go ahead and type my password. So now we're back on our VPN server. We need to install some stuff. So first off, make sure you install OpenVPN, and that's what we're going to be using. So we're just going to do a sudo apt install OpenVPN. All right, with OpenVPN installed, we can start the configuration. Now, by default, there's a lot of ways to configure the OpenVPN. However, a lot of the stock ways that I could show you typically would not give you very good protection, and it wouldn't be a very good encryption either. So I actually refer to a GitHub article for an OpenVPN installation, and this is the reason because it ups your encryption a little bit, gives you a little bit better and stronger VPN, and then two, it does SSH keys and certificates instead of just standard passwords. I really highly recommend using certificates instead of passwords, especially with SSH and also VPNs, just because it's far more secure than actually utilizing a straight up password-based VPN. So very important. So with that, let's go ahead and pull up a GitHub page, and I'll show you the project that I like to use to secure my VPNs. So this is a VPN install script that is works on it all the time. It's constantly updated. Heck, the README update was done 2 days ago. The actual install script was last updated last month, but this is really what we want. We want this SH script. Now, if you're familiar, definitely go through and look at this. This is what we're going to be running as root, so whenever you're downloading a script from the internet, it's good to look it over. But this is what we want. We're going to want the raw file here, so we're going to just copy this guy. Now, I'll put in the description below the link and everything. I'll make an entire article on christitus.com about setting up a VPN and getting all this going as well, so you could easily follow along through that article as well. So with all that, we'll go ahead and leave this up, but we're going to go ahead and download this right into our home directory. And from here, we're going to mark this executable, and then we're going to do sudo OpenVPN. Now, I want to take this a step further. There's a lot of things that you can do, but I want to make this as easy as possible, so they have an assisted install. So it's actually this guy right here. So we can just copy that, come into here, and I'm going to actually just back this out. I don't need to do sudo since I'm actually running as root. So with that, I'm going to just do an auto install, and it's just going to go through and do all for me. So when running this, I got a ton is not available. Now, this is usually a tunnel. Some of your VPSs out there lock down some of their standard installs in here. So I'm going to show you how to get around this if your VPS locks down your ton or your tunnel. So let's go ahead and change this for this specific operating system. So we'll go into our dev directory. We're going to make a directory called net, go mknod net-ton c space 10 space 200. So with this, we should be able to get there. And then finally, just a chmod to finish this out. And all that looks good. And enter. All right, so from here, we should be good, and this should fix us up as far as the ton not available, but we're about to find out. All right, so we're going to go back to our auto install script and hit enter. It would help if I was in the home directory when I ran that. All right, here we go. So this goes ahead and sets all of our encryption settings and everything we want. If you want a little more granularity, or you really understand a lot about VPNs, by all means, run the script and go through each one. It's very intuitive. Even if you only have a little technical knowledge, a lot of the questions helpful. However, for a noob, I just say, hey, run this script and go for it. Now, obviously, do your research if you can. But I know there's some lazy people out there that just won't, and here you go. This is the simple way to do it with just OVPN file. So let's take a look here and see what our OVPN file is. We have this client.ovpn right here. This file has all our certificates and everything we need to connect to this. So we need to transfer this back to our home. So let's go ahead and exit, and we're just going to do a standard SCP. Now, I went over SCP and secure copies, but the basic syntax is SCP, the source file, which is that client file, which we're going to do root.vpn.christitus.com : and then the source file, which is client.ovpn. Now we're back on our regular box here on the Arch machine. I exited the other box, and we're going to go ahead and put this in our home directory. We'll put our password in, and we'll get that file. So if we look here, we see the client at .ovpn, and before we run this, I want to go ahead and pull in our current IP address and make sure that we don't. So we can go, what is my IP? So with our OVPN file downloaded, now we can actually do our direct connect here. Now we need to make sure we have OpenVPN installed on this, so I'm just going to do an install of OpenVPN. Now that we have OpenVPN installed, let's take a look at where our client file is. I'm actually going to run as root real fast. We go to etc OpenVPN client, do a listing, we see that we have the client file. Now, when you're connecting through a VPN, you're going to need to run sudo from the command line, at least for this instance of it. If we need to get further in depth here, we can do some different things as well. However, for this tutorial, we're just going to go OpenVPN, and then we need the actual client OpenVPN file. So with this, we should be able to connect, and it should give us a new IP. So it looks like the initial sequence has been completed. So if you go on the web and we just pull up yahoo.com. I don't know why I thought of Yahoo. I guess I teleported 20 years back in the old stuff. So there we go. There's the web. We are now securely browsing through our VPN. However, if you wanted to know if what your VPN is, you can always just do a simple curl ifconfig.me, and it'll show that it's using 64.190 and then blah, blah, blah. Now let's clear this out, and then we're going to cancel our OpenVPN. We'll exit, and then let's go ahead and curl again. You'll see 76.85 and the rest. So I'm not going to read that out because I'd rather not give away my IP on the internet. Sometimes I mess up on that, but for the most part, you should try to obscure that. So with that, we've successfully set up the OpenVPN server. We've also connected the OpenVPN server. However, that's not exactly very easy, is it? I mean, the server's running in the background, but we need to do some stuff to make sure it's always running. And then also here, we don't want to be leaving a terminal window up all the time to connect to OpenVPN. So we need to set up something with Network Manager. So GNOME has a better Network Manager as far as the tie-in with OpenVPN. However, we can easily do it on here. Now I'm on Arch, and I'm going to show you the Network Manager I need to install. It's Network Manager OpenVPN. And this will actually install the Network Manager for my desktop here, which I'm on KDE. Now, if you're on a Debian base like Ubuntu or Linux Mint or any of those, you're not gonna get this package. This is an Arch package. So what you need to do would be sudo apt install network manager OpenVPN. That would be your install. Now, if you're on GNOME, take it a step further and just type GNOME, just like that. So those are the two packages for Debian-based ones, because I'm constantly using VPNs on my indoor Debian-based machine. So there you have those packages. So I don't want you to get lost in this portion. But once you have your Network Manager, we're ready to connect to a VPN for the most part. So let's see what happens when we pull up this. So if we right-click our little networks down here and say Configure Network Connections, so if we hit the plus sign, we say Import VPN Connection, that's going to be all the way at the bottom here. So we'll go Create, and then we have that client OpenVPN here. So what this does is it copies all the certificates from this file into .local share network management certificates. This is in your home directory. So we'll go ahead and hit yes. And then it creates it. So we'll go ahead. It shows the gateway, our actual IP. All the certificates are there. There is no password. It's just using their certificates by default. So with that, we can hit OK. And then let's go ahead and connect to this guy. So we'll just left click on it this time. And we got the client down here. We're going to hit connect. It's going to say connecting. And with this saying connecting, I know it's not going to work. So let's go ahead, disconnect. Let's see what's happening, because there's a problem with the actual VPN. Okay, with things not working, we're going to go back into our Network Manager, go to Client. Now, we know the CA, cert, and private key are all good. So there's something else that's missing out of this. Now, on GNOME, usually it imports what's called a TLS key, and it does it quite well. Here, if we hit Advanced, go to TLS settings, and you'll see there's no TLS settings in here. Now, because we use that script, we really wanted to amp up the security, and using TLS is part of that. And it makes this a little more difficult. So I just wanted to explain what's happening. We have the CA, the cert, and the private key, and in most instances on a weak VPN, that's enough to connect. However, on this one, it's got a couple more things going for it. So let's jump into fixing this. So we'll go to Advanced, and we need to verify all the settings here. We do this by opening up our OVPN file. So we're going to go Open Recent Client OVPN. Now, the client here, we have the static key down here, which is good, but we need to make sure that actually creates a static key file. So we're going to go ahead and verify the settings are correct. So it's using protocol UDP. So we know it's not using TCP here. It's not really using a custom gateway port. 1194 is what pretty much everything's using. You could leave this enabled, but I'm going to go ahead and unenable it because it doesn't really matter. We're using TUN right here for persistent, and then we're going to also use TUN for the virtual device name. So with those done, everything else here looks fine. We're going to go to security. We're going to double check the cipher. So if we go over to here, you'll see that the auth is using SHA-256, which is the HMAC auth. And then the cipher is using AES 128 GCM. We need to make sure we mirror these settings. So this looks good. Now under TLS, we don't see anything. That's a problem. So we need to first verify the name exactly. And if we look, verify name is this server file. So we're going to actually copy this and put it over here. We're going to verify the peer with the server. We're going to do match the crypt. So the actual crypt file is down here. This is what we need to make. Now I've actually already made this and dropped it in here. I used static.key because this is a static key file. So that would be the most logical name. I'm trying to make as generic names as possible here, and drop this into the same folder. So if I go save as, I put it in the home directory, .local, share, network manager, clients, or certificates client, and then dropped it with all the other certificates, because I think you should maintain all of these. I've seen people drop them in like their home directory and all over the map. You want to consolidate where you put these files, and this is a logical place to put your static.key. So with that, we have the static.key file in there with this portion of the VPN file. So we'll just select that. We'll go into our /.local, share, network management, certificates, client, static.key. We'll hit OK. We'll close this out and hit apply. Now, if we hit OK and we left click here and then we hit connect, hot dog, look at that. It connected and is activated. And if we go into our settings and go, what is my IP? We'll see, oh, our IP has changed. We're in Los Angeles, California right now. Good old LA. So pretty awesome. I think this is neat as far as these IPs are pretty interchangeable, and it makes you so you can get out. Like I'm in Dallas, Texas right now, and the internet thinks that most of my traffic, all my traffic's actually coming from LA with this VPN connected. And you can see the little lock on the icon in the bottom right here to tell us we're done. So when we're finished, I like to disconnect, because why use all that bandwidth on your VPS if you don't have to? So we're now disconnected. We're out of there, and I'll probably go ahead and wipe out this whole VPS before this video goes live, so don't get any ideas. I see you one or two people behind there that's like, I'm going to use Titus's VPN. So no, you're not. I'm deleting that VPS right now. I just wanted to showcase for this video what it looks like to set up a private VPN. Okay, so for our Windows-based machine, I went ahead and pulled up openvpn.net community /dash downloads. Now, from the downloads, we need a Windows file. Now, obviously, most people are going to be using Windows 10, so we're going to click this download, and we're going to launch it and install OpenVPN on this machine. So we'll go ahead and fly through this installer, all using the default options, next, and finish. So we are done. We'll go ahead and hit finish. And then from here, we have a couple more things we need to do. So obviously we need to get that OVPN file. This is the configuration file from our server. So we'll go ahead and launch WinSCP and connect to our server. We'll go ahead and log into VPN. And from here, we'll just download that right into our documents folder. So from this, we'll take that file. So we've grabbed our OVPN file. We've set up the actual OpenVPN connection. If you're unsure about any of this, or the SCP, or transferring the files through a remote server, check out my other video going over SCP and SSH and transferring files. So continuing on, let's go into the documents. And we're going to take our client.ovpn file, and we're going to go into C drive, program files, OpenVPN, and then under config, you should have something in here. So we'll go ahead and paste this in, hit continue. and it'll transfer this into this file. So pretty easy. From here we can actually connect to it. So we actually see the OpenVPN down here in our trash tray. We're just going to right click, and then we can hit edit config, and we can see all the stuff that we have in there. But we're just going to say right click and hit connect. This goes ahead, gives us our log, and it should connect. And it looks like it did connect. So we got the little green icon. It says it's connected to client. It's assigned this IP. So if we go to what is my IP, we'll see what we get. What is my IP? And you'll see we are now on a new IP address. We are connected to the VPN, easy peasy. We are now have our private VPN in both the Windows section, and then also if you need to on the Linux section. Now, one thing I haven't gone over in this video is setting up an always on VPN through like a Linux service or even a Windows service for that matter, which you can. But if you're interested in that video, let me know in the comments. And I might set up something like that, because that's always fun doing an always on VPN. However, I always like to do those through actual networking equipment. That's why I'm not showing it in today's video. Well, there you have it. As far as having your internet traffic come from a different spot on the internet, this is kind of important. However, I don't want you to get this false sense of security. I didn't touch on this too much when it comes to VPNs. You should always be cognizant that it doesn't matter where you're coming from. You can always be tracked. Don't ever think that a VPN obscures you in any way, shape, or form from a lot of the bigger agencies. And if you're going to commit an illegal crime or something like that, a VPN will not save you by any stretch of the imagination. So I just want to say that out loud, because so many people get a false sense of security with a VPN. I just wanted to showcase how beneficial a VPN is to get around some of the nasty regulations that you have. Like, let's say you have a local TV station that somehow blacked it out because of a football game. You could easily use a VPN to get around that. You don't necessarily need to use one of the paid services. If you already have a VPN server somewhere else in the actual internet, you could easily use that. I have one on my website that I could easily connect to, or I could connect to this one that I set up for this video. So with all that said, let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. And as always, thank you to all my patrons. Without you, I couldn't make videos like this one, and I'll see you in the next one.